Welcome back, legends, to another video. And in this video, guys, I'm really excited to get into today's topic. You guys already see the title of the video, taking a confirmed trade when a trend hasn't even confirmed that it is actually a trend. And so excited to be going over this video. Real quick, want to tell you guys how it came about. And so I just recently finished up a session with one of my students named Chris. Shout out to you, Chris. And we were going over potential trade setups to take for the remaining of the week. And one of the trade ideas was euro to US dollar. And in this trade idea, guys, he was asking, Albert, can I take this trade? Simply because we did break the 4-hour support, or what looks like what started this ascending movement by breaking out of this resistance. And so we broke back below it. We retested. Can I take the trade and see continuation down to the monthly support and potentially down to this daily ascending trend? And I had said, you can take it, but your take profit one cannot be the daily ascending trend or the monthly support or daily support, as in you have to have such a conviction that this trade is going to break through and go all the way down for one reason. A trend has not formed yet within the current momentum. And he was wondering, okay, well, why? And so let's go over real quick, legends, how a trend comes about, what the basic notion of a trend is. For a trend to form, we need a total of 4 movements, okay? Let's start with an uptrend. If you see an impulse like this, this is only a consistence of 2 movements. Why? We see a low and we see a high. At the same time, students in my course know that with every impulse does come relief or profit taking, right? Someone made money in this movement. There has to be liquidation or profit taking. At the same time, a trend needs 4 movements to form. This only has 2. And why do we know that? This is a low and this is a high. What do we need? We need a higher low, and then we need a higher high. And once we get this third movement, now you guys should understand why I'm always stating every single time we get an impulse, you need liquidation, relief, and things of that nature so we can see trend continuation. And now you guys should understand why the liquidation is called a bull flag, trend continuation, correction, liquidated movement, etc. Because you need 4 movements. When an impulse occurs, there's only 2. There's a low and a high. Or in a downtrend, you would see a high and a low. You still need a third movement, which is the lower high. And then once we break out of the low, that tells you a trend has actually formed, creating the lower low and creating your downtrend or your uptrend. And so in this example, bringing your guys' attention back to this green circle there. In this example here, my friends, Chris had asked, can we take the trade? Well, let's review what is currently going on as we speak. And so if we look over here, guys, we can see that structure made an impulse, indicating to us that potentially this bullish momentum that rallied is now invalid. Why? Because to start this bullish momentum that we were in, it had to break this resistance. Now, if we break back below it, it tells us that, you know what, this breakout right here may be false. Now, regardless of our indications, what we think, let's go back to the basic notion of a trend and how it comes about. 4 movements, right, my friends? Let's see what happened. We made an impulse. That's only a consistency of 2 movements. And this is what I'm so excited to get into. Notice, legends, even though we just made 2 movements, a high and a low, on top of that, we broke the previous 4-hour support right here. And students in my course know a breakout's a mere indication. But then some would say, look, Albert, we retested. We are going to continue down. And you guys are most likely right. We will continue down. But why can't we take the trade? Because that third movement, the lower high that we need, hasn't formulated yet. Now, I'm not stating that, you know what, this is going to pull back to this area. But the whole point of not taking the trade where we currently are at is because we only have 2 movements, this high and this low. And at the same time, with every impulse does come a state of liquidation or relief. And so it is up to us as traders to establish, when are we going to pull back and for how long? Are we going to pull back to this region where we pull all the way back to the descending trend? create relief or a state of liquidation, a structural retest of that previous low we broke and drop? Or do we break out from this low, retest, and start dropping to the downside? That's the question. How long is the pullback going to be? And so why can't we take this trade idea mainly? It is due to the fact that if you took the trade idea, one, there's no trend that's formed. It's only been 2 movements. And with that, because it's only been 2 movements, it makes it a higher risk exposed trade, because students in my course know if you guys would be taking a sell, you have to put your stops above or below previous highs plus 15 to 30 pips. That's how you put our stop losses. So if that's the case, if you're taking a sell here, where's the last lower high that you have to put your stop at? Well, this is the high, right? Then we look at it, that's the low, that's the lower high, lower low, lower high, same low, same lower high. So this is the last lower high, minimum. And this is your lower low. So if that's the case, you got to put it above the last lower high plus 15 to 30 pips just to give it some breathing room, right? So if our stop is about 75 pips, about 90 pips, let's say. And from where we would enter, our take profit would the first one would be monthly support. And secondly would be that daily ascending trend. So regardless of where I target, the R&R is not positive. So once again, it brings me back to my initial statement of, you can take this trade if you have a full belief that, you know what, we're going to break straight through. And this is all invalid and we should just continue to tank. But now it's very tough to come with a conclusion like that, because as you know, traders of my training course know, you guys know we take our trades levels to levels, trends to trends, fibs to fibs. We never try to overestimate where structure could potentially go. We only assume where it's going to go from past, right? Our technical analysis states we're using past to predict future. And so in the end of the day, why is it okay that we can take these other true trade ideas that we had given? For 2 reasons. If we see a breakout of this low, then a small retest, it tells us the trend has formed. Why? Check this out. We had this initial high, which was the start of the impulse, and the low, right? This drop. Now, if we pull back and then we break out again, it tells us that this has now formed a lower high. And if we break the lows, it tells us we are creating lower lows, and it tells us that we are receiving trend continuation, in which we would take our trade like this. And now notice, this would be the last lower high, plus 15 to 30. The trade becomes so much more viable, whether we take it to the monthly support or all the way down to the daily support or daily ascending trend. There's a lot more movement, room to work with. The marginal room for error is so much larger for us, and then the risk exposure is significantly decreased. And at the same time, if it doesn't break this low, my friends, and it continues to rally to the upside, notice this. If it continues to make a relief, as we were stating before, and then starts to drop, that's all right as well. Because notice this. If we took entry here, where's the last lower high in this example? Well, if we look at it basically, this was the high. This is the low. This is the lower high, lower low, lower high, right? And so therefore, if you took entry here, your stops would be, oops, not a good example. So if we look at it, guys, after this impulse and we make this corrective relief, and once we break out, your stops would be above the last previous lower high, plus 15 to 30 pips. And you can start targeting to the downside, in which your R&R becomes a lot more to work with. And notice now you have a much larger R&R. And so these guys are 2 great examples about how, even though if a trade confirms to you that it is technically good to pull the trigger, you must understand the basic notion of a trend. Then on top of that, always factor in with every impulse comes a state of liquidation, relief, or further continuation of that given momentum. Don't get caught in the impulses and don't feel like you have to jump the gun. It happens to the best of us. And we learn and we move forward. But this should be a great example, guys, of how a trade may confirm to you that it's technically good to pull the trigger. But from a risk perspective and how the trend came about, we are not ready yet, because we still need certain things to come about before we can pull the trade. And so with that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. These are videos that I'm excited to be coming out with regularly, and I'm going to be uploading weekly to YouTube, so definitely be on the lookout. On top of that, guys, A new segment is coming to YouTube, and what the segment is going to be focused on the trades that we take for the week, as well as the setups that were reviewed in the beginning of the week through the webinar, as well as the setups that were sent in my group chat setups and signals team. We will review all of those at the end of the week, and so I'm really excited to be coming out with this segment as well, guys, because you guys can really see, how someone who does this for a full-time profession constructs, their weekly trades, how they go about assessing them, and the performance of them, and what I personally do to make the minor tweaks that are necessary to make sure that I'm always sharp, and I'm always making sure that I'm doing my job to the best of my ability. And so with that, I'm really excited for the future, guys. Wanted to say thank you so much for the rapid growth that we've had thus far. It's becoming insane, and Instagram's taking, everything's taking off, and so thank you guys so much. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. Just want to let you guys know, huge announcement real quick. Once we break either 100,000 total views on YouTube or 1,000 subscribers, having a big special surprise for you guys, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Once again, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment. Want to know your thoughts, guys, on what you think in an example like this, if you guys think this was helpful, if this helped you out, as well as please guys, subscribe. Like I said, it helps me out tremendously, and also leave a like. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, as always. And if you guys want more information pertaining to what I do, how you guys can get involved and things like that, all of the information will be down below in the description box, so definitely check it out. If you guys need anything, you guys can definitely contact me. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to speaking to you all in the next video. Speak to you guys soon.